Here's the very first shot I took of an emperor penguin. Boom.
The emperor penguins is perhaps the most amazing animal survival story.
Now he's ready to film.
We were kids in a lolly shop. We would come up with a story idea and be allowed to go out and tell it.
This female is the heroine of our story. She's known as Blue.
We would think nothing of having 10 or 20 films being made concurrently. And yet, I don't know whether we really felt like we were part of the New Zealand film industry.
The product leaving this building is as good as anything in the world.
You've got to have a logo. We settled on the Kia. They're intelligent, they're inquisitive, but also real key to our survival, I think, is adaptability.
This was the original DNTV2 studios.
You know where you're going?
Yeah. Studio 3, Wild Track Studio.
I was a reporter for television news. I found these great stories about takahe and kakapo conservation that Rod was working on. My head of news let me go and film it. Then our station manager got approval to bring a little natural history together.
Deep in Fiordland's Murchison Mountains, one of the world's rarest birds forages in winter snow. This is the last refuge of the takahe.
Michael Stedman, who's a producer of all kinds of programs, he was our leader. Quite a stroppy little guy.
Yeah. Emphasis on the little.
Yeah.
And the stroppy.
Michael thought television was a medium that didn't have to be dumb, that you could reach out to people and you could tell them interesting things.
He just quietly came in. There wasn't a big fanfare.
No.
I can hardly remember when he started, and next thing, you guys showed up.
There you are. Hello, welcome back to Wild Track. Come over and look at the map for a moment, will you?
We created a like a naturalist's environment.
Here's a plain and simple New Zealand bird, the kakapo.
The cottage was our attempt to get right away from any sense of a television studio and to stay natural.
Was that cottage on the hill actually in here?
Yeah. Marg Campbell and I, the presenters, would walk out the door of the studio and we'd cut to a little cottage right down on Boulder Beach on the Otago Peninsula. And people completely believed it.
Got it. And so has the camera. Birds look best on film when the camera is a silent witness of their private lives.
None of this stuff had been touched, had it, before you guys?
Absolutely not. Coming down here, I thought I'd better go and buy a bloody book about natural history. I went to the Hindman's bookshop just down the road, and there was no such thing as a natural history section. And that reflected the knowledge of New Zealanders. We knew nothing.
That's right.
This is a Chatham Island black robin. It's a pure black relative of the New Zealand robin.
You know, they were about to go extinct. There were 7 left.
That took New Zealand by storm. Did you know you were onto something?
No, we were very much making it up. I remember Mike Stedman and I nutting over actually how a script would work. A natural history script would work. No, that's too flowery, you know.
He focuses attention on the female Blue, then boldly moves in with a juicy offering and claims Blue as his mate.
Once we started talking about wife swapping, it kind of shifted from a natural history documentary to a kind of Coronation Street. And we followed characters and we were away.
Red and blue thus form a pair bond, and yellow becomes the lone bird.
Doc had just been established, received thousands of dollars after people watched that doco.
Eggs and chicks were moved from nest to nest over several seasons, and Rod Morris recorded all the chapters of the robin's flight from extinction.
I think the Black Robin documentaries showed people in New Zealand and overseas that it's possible to practically intervene.
We came in at exactly the right moment to start telling those sorts of stories of hope. And audiences around New Zealand loved it. Television started to change, and Michael realised we were probably going to get it contracted first and then closed down very soon after it. He said, I'm going to have to get funding overseas.
This was our first international marketing brochure for Wild South series. Then he went trudging around the world, forging relationships, first with Discovery Channel. I always remember him in Cannes saying, I was picking up business cards off the floor and out of wastebaskets.
We're here to visit hugely experienced producer, cameraman for NHNZ, Max Quinn. Max is a lovely guy, but he has a fatal flaw. He collects shit. Are you home, Max?
Yes, I am.
Hey.
I noticed you've seen my penguin door knocker.
Absolutely.
That was made for me by a guy at McMurdo Sound.
These are the first people ever to witness the Emperor's arrival at this southernmost colony.
You're remembered, Max, for your work in Antarctica.
We were the first to make the sort of definitive film on emperor penguins.
From September, the parents run a shuttle service, delivering seafood meals.
The world saw a lot of penguins in the years after you. Were you before the March of the Penguins?
Oh yeah, March of the Penguins didn't come out until the early 2000s, I think.
The crew are amazed to see them all packed in one tight huddle against the minus 44 degrees cold.
We're wondering how we're going to keep the camera warm down there, because those old tape cameras had moving parts.
Yeah.
And so I made this cover up, and it's a bit of a classic. I slid the camera into there.
Yeah.
The theory was if you can trap that heat, that it'll keep the camera going, and it did.
Soon there'll be no more darkness for the 4-month-long summer day.
I think the Emperors of Antarctica sold to over 100 different territories around the world.
It was really popular.
Incredible, yeah. Several years beforehand, Neil had been down there and made a definitive film called Under the Ice.
Yeah.
It's fairly dark, but it's spectacular visibility.
That was the first documentary that had been made under the ice. I don't know what we're thinking of.
Yeah. Oh, at least there's light.
So the underwater housing allows us to take a full broadcast camera under the water. You have controls here to operate the zoom and the focus and start and stop recording. They weren't commercially available at the time. And so, some of the local geeks climbed on in and whipped stuff up like this. This could go as deep as a diver could go, 100 feet or so. Deeper than that, we would use a remotely operated vehicle purchased in the early 90s.
I can remember this double page in the Listener where TVNZ, when we were part of TVNZ, beautiful big scenic picture with maybe a keel or something in it saying Natural History New Zealand taking our stories to the world. They were so proud of us. Within 6 months, we were non-core business.
Michael always said that the options were shut us down now, put us out of our misery, or put us on the selling block.
Yeah.
And that was what happened.
Along came Murdoch. He bought a bucket of money.
Everyone thought, Fox television, very right-wing, but everyone thought that's what it's going to be like for us, but it wasn't.
They gave us money for equipment, which we desperately needed.
Personally, I felt that we went from someone who hated us, TVNZ, towards the end they did not like us in Auckland, to Murdoch, who loved us.
Our main competitors were BBC, who had the money from a licence fee. We had to raise the money before a foot of film was shot.
The Locust has elastic bands in its knees.
Michael forged co-productions.
So America first, then Europe, then Japan, then China.
Here in western Tibet, life relies on summer winds to bring moisture over the mountain wall from distant oceans.
Murdoch was really keen on that because he'd been trying to get into China for a long time.
And we were amenable to sort of learning what it was they saw as interesting in terms of stories from their own countries.
I think that what we've done is to read the market, talk to the end users, to make programs that appeal to those, as opposed to a British system where they would make a program that they wanted to make and then go and look for a market for it.
Since Fox Television bought Natural History New Zealand Limited 3 years ago, it's been all growth. $50 million worth of documentaries are currently in production.
He was employing 200 people at the height. And when it started, there was about 5 of us. We were into science, we were into health, we were into adventure.
Darwin said, it's not going to be the strongest or the most intelligent animal that survives on the planet. It's going to be the most adaptable. And Michael kind of understood that intuitively, really, that adaptation was where survival of the unit rested.
Among scores of awards, an Emmy for outstanding script writing.
The dusting of crystals has accumulated in fractions of an inch over hundreds of thousands of years to form a solid ice dome.
Mike Single, his films, they were glorious, you know. I mean, his film Crystal Ocean is a work of art, really. It's a work of genius.
Won an Emmy for cinematography.
Yeah.
Awaiting them is a spectacular gallery of fantastic sculptures.
Were New Zealanders seeing this work?
I don't think New Zealanders were seeing a lot of these programs. I remember Michael saying, you know, you're selling to so many countries, but one of the hardest countries to sell to is your own country.
Yeah. We were getting lots of recognition. It may not have been coming from Auckland or Wellington, but it was coming from New York or London, so who cares?
Yeah. Did you ever get to talk to him about his own success?
Not really. Sometimes he seemed a bit ho-hum about it.
At heart, Michael was a real Dunedinite.
Yeah.
And he very much wanted to do well in this city.
Michael was instrumental in starting science communication.
Yeah. Graduates would become loggers and researchers with the Natural History New Zealand, you know, and go on to greater things.
He got sick on his last trip to China, which really knocked him back. But he had respiratory illness for quite a long time.
Then that was really the beginning of the end for Michael. From Fox buying us in 1997 and those fantastic years of growth and spreading our wings, that had sort of got to the end of its road. The market had changed from the good filmmaking we liked. Reality kind of took hold.
Well, as Michael said, the golden years were over. The golden years were over.
This is a little clip of Mike's statement at your farewell, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be quite nice because it sort of brings the dear old man back to life again. Look at this.
Well, we've got a bit of a tape here that some of your colleagues have put together, a serious tape, and it really looks at some of the work that Rod has been involved in over the years. And it runs, shut that long.
There he goes.
You all loved him, didn't you?
Yeah, I suppose we did.
Little bastards.
Little bastard.
He sponsored us for a period of time so that we could fulfill our dreams, and he was an extraordinary person.